Greetings, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Bringing It Home with C.N.Smith. I am your hostess, Christina Nicole Smith. Some of you may know me by my indigenous name, Adelohoski Akatanai. This program is about all things homeschool related, from legislation, news updates, creative curriculum ideas, interviews with homeschooling parents, individuals, and businesses that provide insight into the homeschooling experience, as well as my experience as a homeschooling mother of 16 years and counting. You may find my insight on these topics useful. If you're watching us today from our YouTube channel, don't forget to hit that like button so YouTube will know to share this content with other individuals just like you. And you can also click on the subscribe button and then the notification bell to be alerted when new episodes are uploaded. You can also find us on Destiny TV, a new channel on your Roku player. Simply use the search function on your Roku player, type in Destiny TV, and then look for this logo. When you see it, click on Add Channel, and you will then have access to the local listings. Okay, welcome and a big thank you for joining us today. On today's episode, I have invited a special guest from the Bay Area in California. She is a wife and mother of 7 beautiful homeschooled children that also participate and excel in competitive athletics. So we're going to have a lot to talk about, right? I'm so excited to bring on Mrs. Tamara Mays as my guest today. Let's see if we can get her on. Tamara, welcome to the show. It's so nice to have you on today. How are you?
Thank you so much. I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here with you today.
Awesome. Okay, so the first thing I think everybody would like to know is, what are the ages of your children, and then how many boys and how many girls?
Okay, so there's 8 total.
Okay.
And the oldest is a daughter, and she's 19. And then I have a son who's 18. And then I have a daughter who's 17 and another daughter who's 16. And then I have a son who's 14 and a son who's 12. And then a daughter who is 10 and a daughter who is 6. So 5 girls, 3 boys total.
Okay. Wow. That is awesome.
19 to 6. So
wow, that is awesome. And so do the older ones help teach the younger ones,
definitely.
you think?
Most definitely. Yeah. It's a very organic process.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times what will happen is we'll be in lessons with the older ones, with the younger ones sitting around in my lap or, just around, and they have questions and they want to know. And, they hold the flashcards while the older ones are memorizing stuff. Therefore, they're memorizing stuff, and the older ones they've got this stuff down packed. So they usually whip through, and then when they're done, they'll say, Mom, you need any help? And they'll sit with the younger ones and, really help. So it's very organic the way it works. And I'm truly grateful.
That sounds awesome. Okay. So when did you and your husband first decide to start homeschooling your children, and why?
Okay. So my older 5 children all attended a public charter school, and it was tiny. It was K through 8, 180 students total. So I liked it. I really liked it. However, my oldest daughter has some severe learning disabilities. She has dyslexia. She has auditory processing issues. She's got some visual processing issues. She's got some issues with her short-term memory and executive functions and stuff like that. So trying to go through the IEP process with them and get her the services and things that she needed was a nightmare. And we went through like a 2-year process between, I would say, when she was in 4th grade to 6th grade, where I was her one-to-one aide. I went to school with her every single day to every single class and sat with her, and it just became unbearable. And then I became pregnant with the youngest one, and I was like, well, this isn't going to work long term. And my other students were advanced, and they were being put in classes that were advanced, but on paper, they were still in the same grade. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, okay, we just kind of sat down as a family, and we had gotten to a point with my oldest daughter where it was like, do we start the lawsuit process? Do we put all of that energy into suing and court battles, and this could drag out for another year? Meanwhile, she's falling further and further behind. The other kids are being neglected because all the energies are being put into trying to get her what she needs. And our family just felt like that was so much negativity, and nobody is going to do for our children what we're willing to do for our children. And I figured there's no way I could do any worse. And so my husband and I sat down, and we got a lot of supports in place. We talked to a lot of homeschool families, and we just decided that this system really wasn't created for the betterment of our children. And every time you look at these systems and you look at the things that they have in place, you realize that they're really just stumbling blocks. And it's just not created and designed for the betterment of our children. And so we pulled them. We pulled them and we started homeschooling. And that was, she was in 6th grade, and she is in her first year in college.
Wow.
Yes. And so when we pulled her, she was going into 7th grade, reading at a 2nd grade level.
Wow.
Yes. And they wanted to put her in a special day class. And I was like, okay. And they said that she was not on track for graduation. You know, she would just get the certificate. And I was like, no, not my daughter. You know, she needs to be a contributing member of society. We cannot make this determination for her value and her capabilities when I didn't feel that they had really put forth their best effort. They really didn't address her needs. They really didn't, do what they needed to do to get her where she needed to be. And then you're just going to write her off. And so, we pulled her, we got her, reading specialists, speech specialists, all kinds of interventions and things. And they just got real creative at home. And then with the lack of pressure of this assignment has to be turned in right now, it has to be done this way, we have to use this curriculum, with having the freedom and the autonomy of really focusing on learning and building these concrete skills, she went from leaving 6th grade, reading at a 2nd grade level, to entering 9th grade at a 9th grade level, and graduating high school with an IEP still in place, but no longer needing modifications, and only needing the longer time periods to take the test, but still able to take the same test as her peers. And being allowed to maybe have pre-typed notes instead of typing them herself, but still accessing the same curriculum on grade level as her peers. And that was miraculous.
Yes, it is. Now, what I'm trying to understand for the viewers is, could you please explain what an IEP is? And I know also that a lot of other parents that want to get into homeschooling are wondering how that would actually work if they have a special needs child, with dyslexia and things like that. So could you explain to the viewers what an IEP is? And then also, because you said your daughter still was able to take tests with other children. So explain how you did the homeschooling thing and the curriculum and all that as it relates to your daughter and the IEP and how all that tied in. Because you said she still needed it. So could you explain that?
Right. Mm-hmm. So when a child demonstrates any type of learning difficulties, or there is a gap in where they are as opposed to where, say, their peers are, mm-hmm. or they should be, mm-hmm. You can have the school district do an assessment to see if there's any learning disabilities, mm-hmm. that are keeping your child from accessing the curriculum and performing on the same level as their, mm-hmm. peers. Mm-hmm. And so we did that very early on, first grade, with my daughter. Mm-hmm. For just a slight background, my oldest daughter, my husband and I, we adopted. And so she had alcohol fetal syndrome. And she had none of the physical disabilities. Right. So we didn't know until later on that there were the learning disabilities. So, but we knew early on. I was on top of it, and I knew early on. So we had her assessed, and then she was given an IEP. They determined that she had specific learning disabilities. Mm-hmm. There were reasons, that she wasn't on par with her peers. Mm-hmm. And an IEP is an individualized education plan. And basically what it is it says, okay, this student has these specific disabilities, mm-hmm. that are holding them back. And mm-hmm. therefore we need to put supports and extra resources in place, mm-hmm. to help this student meet the standards and be on par with the rest of their peers. Mm-hmm. It's a process. You meet with the school psychologist, you meet with the school's principals, the teachers, and you meet with the school district. Mm-hmm. Oftentimes, the district will not look at what your child needs. Like it say your child needs maybe, they have the readers that you can wave over the page and then it will read aloud to your student, right? Maybe your child would really benefit from that. And the specialist that you have said, this is what your child would benefit from. The school district does not necessarily take that into consideration. They say, this is what we do. Mm. This is how we help. And this is what we'll offer you. Whether or not it actually meets the needs demonstrated by your student or not is irrelevant to the process. It's just, this is what we do as a district. Wow. And this is what we're willing to provide for your student. Take it or leave it. And there is a process in place where you can appeal, and then you can argue, and then you can take them to court. But it's long and it's drawn out. And in the meantime, your student is falling further and further behind, and the supports that you're advocating for, mm-hmm. are not in place. So it becomes really an issue of, do you put your energy into trying to force people to give your child what you know they need and deserve, mm-hmm. or do you spend that energy going out and getting what you know your child needs and deserves? Mm-hmm. So one of the, there's 3 ways that you can legally homeschool in California. Mm-hmm. So the first way is if you just say, I want nobody in my business, nobody harassing me, nobody setting any limits, and you file a private school affidavit, and then you school your children, and it's all on you. Mm-hmm. Another way that you can homeschool is to partner with the district. They usually have like independent study programs. If you utilize that, you get to have your kid at home, but you still have no autonomy over their curriculum, their assignments, and whether you want them participating in state testing, not participating, you don't really have a lot of autonomy when it comes to that. You just basically have the support of having your child at home, mm-hmm. but they're still under the guise of your local school district. Mm-hmm. The third way, which is a way that we found really worked for our family, is to find a homeschool charter. Mm-hmm. And when you find a homeschool charter, many of them, most of them, allow you the autonomy of picking your own curriculum and deciding on assignments and things like that. And they facilitate, if you want to participate in state testing, they facilitate that. The upside for that is if you have a student who does have an IEP, who does have demonstrated disabilities and needs, they have in place the resources and the supports. They partner with people in the community to get reading specialists. They partner with people in the community to get your children speech therapy, physical therapy, occupational therapy, anything that you need. And what I found with working with them is that they are student-centered. They care about the outcome of the student. They believe in the mission of homeschooling, and they are really there as a support for the parents to get the student where they need to be. And so it is more holistic, the approach. What does the student need? And what do we think will benefit them, and how do we get that done? You know, and so that was the choice that we made for our oldest daughter, and then the rest of our children. And they thrived, all of them. They have thrived under that, you know.
Okay, so in total, how many years have you been homeschooling then at this point?
So 8 years total.
8
years total.
8 years. And what were some of the differences pre-2020 to now? I mean, as far as the educational, do you think there was a sense of continuity? Because I know for some people in the state, when the schools closed in 2020, a lot of people were stuck. Correct. What was it like? What was your experience like? Because you started out homeschooling pre-2020. Right.
It was not a big deal for us.
Okay.
It was not a big deal. It was the community and the effects that we felt in the community, because one of the huge parts of our personal family homeschooling curriculum is field trips, libraries, museums, getting out into the community and getting that tangible real life application of the curriculum and the things that we're learning. And when society shut down, it changed that for us as homeschoolers. But as far as like being at home and schooling, that was normal for us. Accessing information online when necessary, that was normal for us. Being creative, having to figure out ways to get things done when, there's a monkey wrench thrown into the process. Well, that's everyday homeschooling for us. You know what I mean? So, as far as that goes, as far as academics went, my kids did not skip a beat.
Right.
When it came to any difficulties or changes in our homeschooling, it was more based on libraries were shut down. So now we can't go to the library. Museums were shut down, so we couldn't go to the museum. Just not being able to, our co-ops that we were a part of had to shut down because we weren't allowed to commune with other people and you know what I mean? So that's how it was affected for us. But academically, we didn't skip a beat.
Okay. So now that things appear to be up and running pretty much, and everybody's doing their thing again, there are some after effects for some families because of, okay, now the school is open, now it's this, and then maybe you can't do that, and there's restrictions and all the stuff we were hearing about teachers unions. Teachers didn't want to come teach. So there was a lot of stuff going on. And so the children were in the middle and they're watching the adults doing stuff, right? Like, when are we going to figure this thing out? And I know that was wearing on some of the children's emotional health. So how did you and your family, what are some of the things you did to cope and stay emotionally healthy during this trying time? Because there's things that people do as homeschooling parents because everybody's home in a lot of ways. We have to spend time together. We have to figure it out. So, and then the whole 2020 thing happened where you couldn't do your normal thing to let's get the kids out house and run it off and do all these things. So what are some of the things that you had to do as a homeschooling family to stay emotionally healthy? And are you continuing to do those things?
Yes. So one of the major things that we did as a family was we had our moments of thankfulness. So every day at some point in time, we would come together as a family. We tried to make mealtime like huge, because dad was off from work.
Yes.
We were home. Kids were not in classes. We were home.
Yes.
And we were and where we were, particularly in our county, Contra Costa County, we were not only home, we were just shy of martial law here. We were not allowed to leave the property unless it was to go to the grocery store, to the pharmacy. It was pretty strict, and we were fearful to leave because they were threatening fines and all kinds of stuff. So faith is a big part of our family. And so we focused on moments of gratefulness. And so we try to make meal times that focus. We would sit down, we'd make everybody's favorite meal, right? So who cares if you want to have cornbread, mashed potatoes, sweet potatoes, fried chicken on a Tuesday evening?
Yeah, right. Right.
At that point, we were trying to find joy and happiness in anything. So we would do that. All right, everybody pick something. This is what we're going to have. We cook together. So we're spending time laughing in the kitchen, making messes, you know what I mean? Getting our hands dirty, making memories.
Yes.
And then when we would have our meals, we'd go around and instead of focusing on all the things we couldn't do, everything that was shut down, everything that was wrong, everything we were afraid of, we would talk about the things that God had provided for us and the things that we were grateful for. We were grateful that we were a family.
Yes.
We were grateful that we were all healthy.
Yes. Yes.
We were grateful that there was food on the table. We were grateful, you know what I mean, that although my husband was shut down for a whole month, he was paid.
Yeah.
Fully paid.
That's beautiful.
So all the bills were paid. That was something that a lot of people that was not a situation a lot of people were in. So we focused and made sure we told the kids there are a lot of people that are not as blessed as we are right now, even as terrifying or as anxiety causing as the situation might seem. Honey, we're blessed.
Oh, yes.
And so we would do that, and we would do that on bad days. We do it 3 times a day. Come up with something else. What else are you grateful for? And that was something that we kind of focused on, and then we made everything an event. We went to the Walmart. We got a little blow up pool. And I mean, my big grown butt, my husband's big grown butt. We had the slip and slide, every day we have a big front yard. Every day we were out. We had meals out in the front yard to the point where somebody called the police on us because they thought we were having parties. We put the music on. The little one was like, oh, it'd be so nice if we had balloons. Fine. We got balloons.
There you go.
Little thing that it was like, why not? They would say, oh, it'd be nice if we could decorate like it was, my birthday or something. All right, fine. Break out the birthday decorations.
There you go.
What I mean? We just found any way to say yes.
There you go.
Anything that we could safely and, realistically say yes to, we did. Mom, can we have extra time on the Xbox? Yes. Mom, you think that we could have a fashion show? Yes. You know what I mean? Mom, Do you think we could go for a midnight walk to the park and just see how creepy it is? Yes. Let's do it. You know what I'm saying? So, and that it was just things like that, that we did. And it was changing. Our family was kind of like that anyway, but it changed us though. And those are things that we are sticking with. We still say yes as often as possible.
Yeah.
We still have a banner up with streamers and stuff in the dining room because the little one got a whim and was like, can we put banners up for dinner? Yeah. Why not? Go ahead.
Yeah.
If you want to decorate, do it. You know what I mean? And I think it's been 2 weeks now. It's still up, So we've definitely kept with the focus on things we are grateful for.
Yeah.
And focused on finding joy in any and everything we possibly can.
That's beautiful. I think it's important to do that because I know that nowadays a lot of times when you turn the TV on, there's a lot of bad news.
Oh, yeah.
So it's important for families to bond, stick together, and focus on what we're grateful for. Because, when you sit down and you say, you know what, I'm okay right now. And, everything's going to be great. So let's keep going. Let me just turn this off here. I don't know. Did you see something come up on your screen?
I did not. Not yet.
Okay. So now the main thing I wanted to talk to you about today was how, as a homeschooling mother in a homeschooling family, how were you able to get your children involved in the competitive athletics? Because a lot of parents and families don't know that this is possible.
Right. Okay. So, as I told you, there's the 3 ways that you can homeschool in California. For our children, when they get to high school, they get to make a decision whether or not they would like to continue to homeschool the way we homeschool, or we have found a wonderful program at Berkeley High School. They allow the children to do homeschool independent study. And it is inclusive. So I would advise parents, when your children get to high school, if they're interested in playing competitive sports, first reach out to your school district and see if they have what's called an inclusive independent study program. And what that is you still get to keep your kid home and out of that everyday influence and that overwhelming environment of high school and the crazy stuff that's going on in schools nowadays. You still get to be the primary influence of your student. Also, with the independent study programs, there's not a whole lot of autonomy, but there is still some autonomy. Like, my children got to pick the books that they read. I
like that.
So they read a lot of Black authors and got to really indulge in, when they did history, they got to choose topics and they got to read those topics based on authors and things that they were interested in. On top of, there's a core curriculum and things like that. But I found there to be a lot of autonomy. I found that the teachers in the independent study program were very student focused, very focused on the outcome of the kid. And we've had a really, truly positive experience, which also allows my kids to participate in high school athletics. They're allowed to be in student government. They're allowed to go to proms. They're allowed to do whatever the social clubs. It's kind of having the best of both worlds. They get that fun aspect that, kids look forward to when they get to high school without having that overwhelming influence of being in that day-to-day grind of high school.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's really easy. They just compete at their high school, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But another way, because some of my children have chosen that that is not what they're interested in. They don't want to participate in regular high school in any way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
And I fully respect that.
Mm-hmm.
But then there are travel sports, AAU for basketball, USSSA for baseball. I'm not really sure what the soccer one is, but there's one for soccer that is so big on the scene right now, and volleyball has a big one. Your child can participate in that, never ever play in high school, and still obtain a college scholarship. Like, it is highly possible. I will say it is expensive. And so you're going to have to make it a family priority and designate resources to it.
Okay.
But there are scholarships available out there. A lot of these programs will, if your kid is talented,
Mm-hmm.
they'll find a way for them to play.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So there's most definitely a way for your child to participate in competitive sports, dance, drama, theater, all of that stuff, the arts, all of that stuff. And then also, what a lot of people don't know is that once your child is 14, I believe is the age, you can sign them up at your community college.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes.
And they can take the art classes there. They can join the theater there. They can
Mm-hmm.
join the choir there. They can join the music there. There's your local community theater.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
there's so many ways if you're willing to be creative and you're willing to make it a priority, which if you're a homeschool parent, you already know.
Mm-hmm.
And you're already making your child and their passions and their missions and their dreams and their goals, you're already making it a priority. So I'm preaching to the choir here, but it is most definitely possible for your kids to compete at the most elite levels
Mm-hmm.
and never step foot on a high school campus.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, are you doing anything as far as business related? Like, are you a budding entrepreneur? Is there anything you want to share with the viewers that you're working on? Because you gave a lot of value to the audience today. I need to let you know that.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I currently am not doing anything but chasing after these kids right now. I will say, just to put that out there and hoping that maybe other people will spark the idea, I am in the next year or two looking to create a community learning center where we can support homeschool parents and support the children who are homeschooling. And it's not going to be a school because
Mm-hmm.
we don't want more of the same.
Mm-hmm.
What it would be is a learning center where we will have English teachers, math teachers,
Mm-hmm.
science teachers there and available. We'll have resources available to help parents. We will help with guiding them through the athletics and the teams and I've been partnering with so many people in the community, and I'm being pushed. Please, 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 please put this together. Please put this together for our children. So in the next year or two, that is my goal.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to stay in touch with you and let you know how that's going. And
Absolutely.
then we'll get something solid in place, come back and talk to the audience about it.
Yes. Okay. Of course, we're going to have you back on so you can talk about that and share updates with all of us. And we really appreciated having you on today. You really did give a lot of tremendous value, especially in the areas of the special needs child that is homeschooled. If they just have special needs,
right?
Like with the dyslexia, that's a big one. I have a girlfriend whose son is dyslexic, and she's homeschooling him. So that's a big deal. And they don't deserve to be left behind just because of that. Absolutely. So, and then the competitive sports, those are the two major things, and the college thing. So those are the major issues that you covered, because a lot of women don't believe that all those things are possible if your child is homeschooled. And so we both are domiciled here in the state of California, and we're here to tell you it's possible, ladies and
Definitely
women.
possible.
So,
Yes.
and the children will thrive. Yes.
Yeah, my oldest son is graduating this year, and he's off to college to play baseball.
Okay.
He just won his league MVP. He's been in the newspaper. He's doing it, and other than to visit the weight room, he has never attended, their main high school campus. He goes, he meets with his teacher, he gets his assignments, he completes everything at home. So it is totally, totally possible. My youngest one is 14, and he is thriving and doing great in sports. My others, dance, music, anything you can think of that these kids say, Mom, I want to do, we find a way, they do it, and they're thriving. So you can most definitely have the best of both worlds.
Okay, so that's all for today's episode of Bringing It Home with C.N.Smith, and we'll see you next time.